Let's go back now to Durban, where we're hearing more for the theme for the Hollywoodbets Durban July 2023 having been unveiled, and it's called Out of This World, which really speaks of the stars, planets, galaxies, moons, and even supernovas. Our very own Leanne Manas is in Durban with more. Leanne, good morning to you.
Naledi, very good morning to you. Yes, we've been here all morning for the launch of the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And, you know, this is such a big moment for the eThekwini municipality because it's been a very, very tough road as we see recovery starting all over the place. And we're broadcasting from the Oceans Mall. That's where the venue for the broadcast is taking place. And this is just one of the big developments that's actually happened over the years under very, very tough conditions. I mean, we can just unfortunately remember what happened during the riots out here in this province. We also remember the flooding, the devastating flooding, and of course COVID adding to all of that. But there are those shoots we've been talking about, the green shoots that we've been told that are happening in the economy. And I must say, standing here watching a lot of people and a lot of interest in something like this big event that'll be taking place next weekend is what the country does certainly need, and certainly the province as well, which brings in a lot of money. But speaking to us now about how things are recovering and how things are looking for the province, we've got with us Brian Mpono, who is the CEO of Oceans Umhlanga Development. Brian, wonderful to see you, and thank you very, very much for being with us this morning.
I thank you so much, Leanne, and the team of Morning Live. As I've been saying, you are the maiden of our mornings, so you've brought bright and sunny smile to the coast of Durban. Thank you so much.
Indeed, we have been. So it's been wonderful being here this whole morning, and as we continue coming to you from here on the agenda, which of course is focusing in on the development that's happening in Umhlanga and indeed in the province. I mean, this is it's a big project that has been something that's been in the works for quite some time, but it's now open, it's running. How is it doing? I mean, is it a key to how the economy is looking?
It is a key to how the economy is doing. As I said, it's the Oceans Umhlanga development. It's a 4.3 billion rand mixed-use development, which is the new type of development and investment across the entire world. We first broke ground in 2015, and as you can see on my right is the Radisson Blue Hotel, with hotel apartments above it. Where we're standing now, which recently opened in November last year, is the Oceans Mall. But what I want to highlight is the bout of confidence that it has done for the economy of Durban, the economy of KZN. To my left, I'm afraid I can't mention names, but the international giants of fashion have invested 200 million rands in this Oceans Mall, which speaks to the confidence in, number one, the developer, Mr. Vivian Reddy and Robert Alexander, who came together and put this monstrosity of a building together from day one. It's been challenge after challenge, but most importantly, we've invested 4.3 billion rands, and that spells 136 million rands in rates and taxes into the city of Durban. And it speaks confidence. It speaks that Durban is indeed on a turnaround. It says Durban is the most resilient city on the continent of Africa. It just says there's a new wave that is blowing, excuse the pun. There's a new wave blowing in Durban, because if not us, then who? Because we've gone through looting, we've gone through the floods. But if you turn on some of the other international channels, trust me, Durban has it so well. But it just says, City of Durban, we are on the rise. We are taking Durban to the world. But another important fact is the collaboration of us as developers and the City of Durban, and also the Durban tourism arm, because what you see here is a collaborative effort of what people would call public-private partnership. In the essence that this is a catalytic project, which means it takes Durban and puts it right at the very top of the international as a destination. But we're not selling a destination, we're selling the experience.
Yeah. And that's what's important, because I mean there is a definite experience as soon as you come into Durban.
Absolutely.
And I mean Durban has always been, and in fact all of the surrounds, I mean not just the city of Durban itself, but the entire municipality has always been one that has hosted massive events, that has, I mean every I must say, every weekend in the calendar year, there's something. And we're not talking small events, we're talking major events that we see are coming back and getting fuller and fuller and fuller, which is very, very important. Because at the end of the day, and Brian, I think you'll agree with me, it's sentiment. You know, when you see things like this developing, already people start feeling, okay, but I'm hearing such bad things, but I'm seeing some good things as well. And that's very important for the psyche of the city, for the country, for everything in between.
Yeah. Especially on the international market. About a month ago, Durban Tourism, the city of Durban, they took us across to Dubai to the Arabian travel market. It was an international tour, whereas last year Oceans Umhlanga won the mayoral award for investment in the investment category, which came with going for 4 or 5 days across to Dubai earlier on this year, the ATM. And what it does is it puts Durban on an international stage. Yeah. We are no longer a continental city. We are now an international city that, yes, we have an amazing tropical coastline, but when you have international giants of fashion to come in a city like Durban, and before they didn't know, they said, what is the closest city to Durban? And they came at the height of looting. The giants of these fashion companies, they came at the height of looting. We showed them Durban. Mr. Reddy showed them Durban, and they said, wow, Durban is a hidden gem. And that's where we've positioned ourselves. Where we are now, it says something about the leadership of Durban, number one, because investors go where there's an enabling environment. The city of Durban doesn't create jobs. It created an enabling environment for Oceans Umhlanga to build this international award-winning development for architectural design and for its finishes. And it says to the mecca of tourism, which is Dubai, it says Durban indeed has arrived. Because in 2012, we started a hashtag that says, taking Durban to the world. Yeah. And through Oceans Umhlanga, we've done that, and we haven't done it by ourselves, by the way. It's Vivian Reddy, it's Rob Alexander, you have the PIC, the Public Investment Corporation, and not only that, to my right, Radisson Blu, the third largest hotel group in the world, putting its stick in the ground and saying, Durban, we have confidence in you. And we are able to host the Hollywood Durban July and other events, because we're playing on international stage, all these international events are going to come into the city of Durban. Yes, you might get the pessimists who say, oh, but why is the city spending so much money? You have to invest to reap a return on your investment. And I can safely say where we are standing right now, in the international giants, they are very, very happy, and everybody else.
What about issues like the water? Because that has been a major bugbear. Yes, we talk about tourists and looking after tourists, but it's also in the interests of the communities that live here that are struggling. Some people are saying, they still, and not that I'm putting you in government's, putting you in there. That is something that they have to work. That people are still waiting to see some relief from what happened during the floods, and they still are not seeing much. But we worry too much about the tourists and worrying about how they feel. What is your answer to them? Because, communities are suffering, and yet we see these kind of developments. At the end of the day, where does it come in? So what role does business play in all of that?
So it's a bit of a oxymoron in some cases. It's a bit of a juxtapose, because you've got a 4.3 billion rand development, and yet you have an ailing water crisis. Infrastructure, as people have said, is bursting at the seams. What I will say as big business is this. There's a Zulu saying that says, which translates and says, every household has its challenges, but the way to get through those challenges, and because they're big, people are waiting to see quick turnaround strategies. But this is infrastructure you're talking about. But with the help of such developments like Oceans, that through the existence of it gets to plow back 136 million rands in rates and taxes. That money goes into the city coffers, which enables human settlements and infrastructure department, economic development and planning to be able to see to the infrastructure challenges. They won't be solved overnight, I can tell you that right now. But with a collective effort of the confidence that comes into Durban, it gives the city's leadership confidence to say, okay, we can reallocate our budget to look after the water crisis or to even try and solve it. Because, like you said, I don't have all the answers, but each and every businessman needs to play their part, tie their belt, and really just go through the storm, because there's no quick fix. Absolutely not. Yes, it needs to be solved. Yes, it does communicate where we are as a city in terms of do we look after our infrastructure, because obviously that tells whether we're going to invite investment or not. But all I can say is each and every business person must play their part. To the west of where we are now, you've got West Town Development, Mr. Carlos Carrera. Each business person is doing what they can. Yeah. And when we do this, I mean, right here, there's 2,500 to 3,000 permanent jobs that have been created. Now, if you use the jobs multiplier, that's 3,000 times 10, because each of these people, they feed between 10 and 20 people in their household. Yeah. What does it do to the economy? It enables them to access services, just to be economically active. Now, that's just one but. It doesn't solve the water crisis, but it gives confidence to those who say, you know what, yes, we have a water issue. All we have to do is get behind the city of Durban and say, our hand is up, because there is no country in the world that has ever experienced what Durban did. The looting, the floods, and everything else. But yet here you are again.
Exactly.
In all your beauty.
You can't be throwing your hands up and saying it's over. Brian, thank you, and good luck. And I know that it's going to be a wonderful success to host next week the Hollywoodbets Durban July, and of course tourism benefiting from this. And this is just one of the big developments that has come up and really has added massive value into this area, and just showing the confidence that business has in South Africa and eThekwini in particular. Brian Mpono, thank you for talking to us.
Yes,
always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
And Durban is no longer an orphan to international fashion.
Not at all. It's now turning into the center of international fashion.
The Dubai of Durban.
CEO of Oceans and Mhlanga Development, Brian Mpono, thanks very, very much.